Hey, Scott. Good morning. Thank you all so much for coming in this morning. We're very happy to make this announcement this morning. Last week, as you may know, we had a hearing in Austin that we were asked to come down and meet at the TCJS committee meeting. That meeting went well. We were able to brief up on the improvements that we've made, our improvement plan that we enacted earlier this year with TCJS. The meeting went well. Well, Friday morning, our surprise reinspection came up, and it went really well. Today it was made official that we have passed our state jail inspection and are now back in compliance. And so while we're elated to have that, we're also continuing the work along with our new addition to our command staff, Chief Jaime Rios, our jail chiefs that are already there, Chief Joel Jansen and Chief Avery Walker. Between the three of them, that now their number one goal switches to making sure that we stay within compliance in preparation for our upcoming annual inspection that'll be early next year. So I'll open it up to whatever questions you might have.
Sheriff, what do you attribute the improvement to? Are there any specific steps that you and your staff have taken that you think push you guys over the top?
Yes, sir. Soon after that annual inspection in February, we actually were given, I think they give 30 days to come into compliance to make the improvements. Well, within a week, within 6 or 7 days, we made the improvements that were necessary. We made a bunch of changes. And so from TCJS's standpoint, they wanted to make sure that we sustained, those changes sustained over an extended period of time. And so that's what we did. We worked with them. TCJS, they did a really good job. And while they are tough, they're certainly no slouch. If you are truly trying to raise your game, like we are, you definitely want somebody like that looking over your shoulder. And so they did. They'd come in from time to time and give us advice on new things to implement, new things to try, and we did. So that's what we spent the last several months doing. When our new jail chief came in, Chief Jaime Rios, we just simply asked him to check our work. We had made the necessary changes. He's what I would consider an expert in jail standards, jail policy. So he took a look at it and he goes, "No, you guys are ready. We're ready to roll." And so we after having submitted our letter of reinspection, our request for reinspection to TCJS, they came in, they did the surprise reinspection, and we passed. No, not that I can think of. And while I haven't seen their final report yet, it was given to me verbally this morning. I certainly look forward to anything they may have by way of changes or suggestions. Our lead inspector, Jennifer Shoemake, she's very, very good at what she does, and she makes these suggestions to us, and we do look at them every time that she makes one. No, sir. In looking at the negligent releases, that's a matter of process. With us, it's for the most part, and while it's been certainly negligence on the part of individual employees, it's a matter of making sure that we're tightening down our training procedures. And so we are in the process of not just tightening down our internal training processes. We're also needing to work with the county clerk, with the district clerk, with probation, because we all touch each other in that process. So their work gets handed off to us. Our work gets handed off to these next people. And when you touch that work product so many times, you need to know and be fully aware that any little mistake on your part can affect the next person or the next person after them. And so we're needing to make sure that we are doing our best to tighten that pipeline up as much as possible. So not just within our own agency, but within others. I have no doubt that they'll help me out with making sure that we're all on the same page, meaning the other elected officials that are involved in that process. As it stands now, we've got a captain on shift, on every shift. We've had chiefs assigned there. We've backed off of that somewhat now that we have a full-time chief. As you know, Chief Rios being assigned over, that gives us an extra chief now, where we did not have that third chief on the jail side of the house. So now we do. So that was able to help us lighten the load on the rest of the command staff to let them get back to their more regularly assigned duties. Now that Chief Rios is on board, he's going to be spending quite a bit of his time in the booking area. Sí, ya pasamos nuestra inspección de la cárcel. TCJS nos llegó el viernes de sorpresa, como ellos hacen, y pues me da gusto decir que nosotros cumplimos con la inspección y nos fue bien, y ya estamos, ya arreglamos todo con el Estado. Sí, pues nosotros hicimos esos cambios ya en el febrero, marzo, nosotros hicimos los cambios, pero TCJS, obviamente, ellos quieren ver cuáles los cambios que nosotros hacemos, que esos cambios sean efectivos por un rato. Por unos meses, y es lo que pasó. Nosotros ya cuando llegó el jefe Ríos, nosotros simplemente le dijimos, mira, estos son los cambios que nosotros hicimos. Usted fíjese y dinos si ya usted con ojos nuevos, díganos qué se requiere. Y él nos dijo, no, los cambios que hemos hecho son bien, están bien. Entonces ya podemos invitar a TCJS, y el viernes nos llegaron y nos fue bien. Bueno, él a nosotros nos da otro jefe que nos puede ayudar. Antes eran 2, ahora son 3. Entonces el jefe Ríos se puede concentrar mucho de su tiempo ahí en booking, en esa área donde nosotros tenemos mucho movimiento, y él se puede fijar más en eso. Pues simplemente él, con estar ahí, con saber lo que está haciendo, saber cómo tienen que operar dentro de esa parte del edificio, él ya nos va a ayudar bastante con eso. Pero también él va a asegurar que nuestros oficiales sean entrenados. Nosotros empezamos un entrenamiento nuevo con nuestros sargentos hace unas cuantas semanas. La semana que entra vamos a terminar ese entrenamiento, y luego vamos a empezar con los otros oficiales de más bajo rango. Oh, no, pues de los casos que ya tenemos, esos empleados todavía tienen que enfrentarse con la disciplina, pero todo sigue bajo investigación ahorita. Pero ya cuando terminan esas investigaciones, entonces esas personas será posible que algunos van a tener disciplina. Yes, ma'am. Yes. Not at all. As a matter of fact, that's how we met. He was teaching a class with TCJS. He'll be teaching a class with them next week, if I'm not mistaken. To me, that just speaks to the quality of character and his job knowledge. The fact that TCJS asks us to loan him over to them so that he can continue to teach those classes and continue to help other agencies raise their game. I'm able to answer that for him. Thank you. Yes, sir. Our jail population just went up. It's at about 4,100 as of this morning, 4,100 and some change as of this morning. Quite frankly, it's not as high as it has been, but to us, it's we're still working to try to get that number even lower, to the extent that we can. We're looking at the possibility of housing inmates out in other jurisdictions, if at all possible. If nothing else, to help us save on manpower for ourselves within the building.
And I know that there's been discussions with commissioners about staffing. You've said in the past that you have a large number of violent criminals in jail.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. With regard to the hard work of our brother and sister agencies that we have deputies assigned to, for example, on the Violent Crimes Task Force, they are absolutely doing a good job of locking up violent felons. But by the violent nature of those violent felons, we're seeing our jail population go up because of the nature of the offenses that they're suspected of. They're not able to make bond many times. And now, are we seeing the benefits of it? Absolutely. I know that in unincorporated Bexar County right now, violent crime is down from last year, about 16%, and I believe the city of San Antonio is seeing similar drops in violent crime. So that tells me that we're keeping the right kind of people locked up in jail. As I've said before, many times, jails are for people that society is afraid of. So jails are not for people that have mental health issues. Jails are not for people that are there simply because they can't afford to not be. And quite frankly, in my opinion, jails are not for people that are there for some misdemeanor, minor misdemeanor, nonviolent, and society's just kind of mad at them right now. That's not what jails are for. It's for violent people that are too dangerous to walk amongst us. And so while we're happy that we're doing a good job of keeping the right kind of people in jail and off the streets, it does have consequences in that our jail population goes up and stays up because of that.
So what really were the high points of the issues that you needed to work out? Because I know that you have, for example, civilians doing jobs that should have been done by a licensed staff.
Right. Well, there were a lot of things like that, for example, that civilians have existed in booking for decades. But come to find out, it's not an acceptable practice. And so we had to go literally from that day that we found out that was not an acceptable practice. Although it had been done for decades, it's the wrong thing to do. We moved all of those civilians out to other roles immediately, starting that day. You all deal with one of those civilians on a daily basis. Adelina Simpson, who works in our PIO office, was one of those civilians. And while she is what I would consider an expert in booking procedures, that was not the place for her to work. It's in marketing and PR, which is what she does now. We were able to get those folks moved over into other areas and then bring in deputies, sworn deputies, to assume those roles. There were also some issues with regard to things like recreation. Recreation has to be offered at least 3 times a week to inmates. And while we were, all indications are we were offering that, it was not being properly documented. There were also some issues with regard to classifications. So those are all issues that within the week of that last inspection, we were blessed to be able to make those changes. Again, TCJS wanted to see us implement them in the long term and have them sustain, which obviously we did to their satisfaction. Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, we've seen issues come up where quite frankly, and this is not necessarily in our wheelhouse, but we'll take it on because if not us, then who? But there have been cases that we've seen where court-appointed attorneys flat out don't come visit their folks. Now, I can't say it's in every case. I can't say it's in the majority of cases. But if it's occurring even once, that's a denial of a basic human right that they have. And it's, quite frankly, gumming up the process. And so, yeah, we are taking a deeper dive into who's not doing what they should be doing by way of the justice system, because that's an injustice. And while it's not for us to fix, we certainly don't mind looking at those sorts of things and then making those reports to the right people that can do something about it. When did this start with the deeper dive? It's fairly recent development. Just the fact that we're always looking for better ways to manage our jail population. If somebody can be dealt with in a different way other than lock them up and throw away the key, we're absolutely always going to find that process. You know, we also have a weekly meeting with pretrial services and some of the probation, some of the other stakeholders to try to get some of our misdemeanor folks out of the jail. They don't belong there. I've already said that. They don't belong there. And if we can find somewhere else to put these folks, get them some mental health help, you know, help them out with a bond so that they don't languish in jail to the tune of $64 a day. You know, let's help them out with finding another way to bond them out of jail. We'll do that. If it necessitates having to contact a court-appointed attorney and remind them that they've got a client languishing in the jail to the tune of $64 a day, we don't mind doing that as well. We're always just looking for better ways to do our job and to help others do theirs. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's got my full support, and I don't know exactly how we tie into it, but anything they need from me with respect to that, I'm all in. I'm all in. I'm a big fan of using our jail space for what it's intended for. It's intended to keep society safe. It's not intended to lock them up and throw away the key indefinitely. That's not what we're here for. All right. Thank you all so much. No, pues para nosotros nos da mucho orgullo poder decir eso, que ya pasamos esta inspección, pero también les digo a mis jefes, no hay que celebrar mucho porque el trabajo apenas está empezando, porque ya tenemos otra inspección el año que entra y nosotros deberíamos estar preparados. Okay? Yes. Habían varias cosas que ellos encontraron que ellos pusieron en el reporte, simplemente cosas como que no deberíamos tener empleados civiles trabajando en algunas áreas de la cárcel. Nosotros arreglamos eso ese día, aunque haya estado pasando en esta cárcel por años y años, nosotros arreglamos eso ese mismo día. Pero también hay cosas que ellos encontraron con nuestros procesos, que nosotros hicimos esos arreglos, pero ya que pasamos esta inspección, no podemos celebrar mucho, sino que sigue el trabajo porque tenemos otra inspección en unos cuantos meses. Okay? Thank you, guys.